Today is October the 9th, year 2001. My name is Floyd Cox. I'm a volunteer at the National Museum of the Pacific War, and we're here today as part of the oral history program in conjunction with the oral history program of the museum. And we're here in Windcrest, Texas, interviewing Mr. Tom Krauska regarding his experiences during World War II. To start out with, Tom, I want to express my appreciation for you taking the time to participate in our program. And I'd like to start out by asking you some basic questions: when you were born, where you were born, your parents' names, where you went to school, and we'll just take it from there.
Well, somewhere along the line, God saw fit to let me come to life on December 15th, 1919. I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, humble surroundings. I was the last of 3 children born to my parents. And my parents were Thomas I. Krauska, Thomas Ignatius Krauska, and my mother was Mary Ann Krauska. And they were Polish descent, both of them. And they spoke Polish around the house all the time. And I guess up until the age of 6 or 7, they tried to get me to speak Polish. But they gave up on me because I liked to yell and play. I couldn't remember those Polish words. So, but anyhow, we lived at 3417 Itasca Street in St. Louis, in South St. Louis, primarily a Dutch and Polish neighborhood. And we stayed in that neighborhood several times. We moved several times, but we stayed in that neighborhood until I was called into the service many years after that. I was trained and educated by Catholic nuns in St. Louis, St. Cecilia's Church. And best education I think I could have gotten anywhere. They were great. And we came out all smelling like a rose because they were such fine teachers. They were also loving teachers, and I'll never forget them. I remember them in my prayers many times because the way they treated me and my family, it was just wonderful. And I'm sure they had a lot to do with me still living today because they taught me how to live and have fun and how to get educated and stay educated and not just quit on the education. I was in Catholic school for 8 years, played a lot of sports. I was pretty good at soccer, and that was my main sport in grade school and high school. But I went to a public school after grade school, though, and was a different atmosphere. It was a good high school, education-wise. Religion-wise, there just wasn't any religion, you might say, in a public school. But it was a big school. We had about 600-700 in our class, something like that. And after 4 years, during that time, I became a pretty good gymnast. And but I thought put on a lot of muscle in places that people would like to see it. But I did. I really enjoyed working in gymnastics and putting on good shows as a gymnast, and participated in gymnastic tournaments, not only in high school, but throughout the city and throughout Missouri. And I did fair. I never was an excellent, I wasn't at the top all the time, but I came pretty close to the top. But you know, I still think of my gymnastic days, and over the years I tried to convince my kids And I'll tell you about that later on, because I had a girl that turned out to be a state champion in gymnastics. And anyhow, from high school, my dad was one of the old-timers who believed that the man of the house should be educated, and the women, they're down below there somewhere. But my dad didn't give my sisters, who were older than I, an opportunity to go to college. I'll never forget, one sister of mine was, well, she was as smart as a whip. Well, he would not let her go to college. He wouldn't give her any money. And if she did any education, she'd have to do it on her own. And go out and find yourself a job. That was the attitude. And not just with him, and a lot of other people in those days. The breadwinner was the boy, or the band coming in. And he was to go to school. My sister got a job, my oldest sister got a job and I had two older sisters. Betty was the oldest, and Florence was next. And I was there. We were all about 18 months apart. We were very close, and over the years we stayed very close. The oldest sister was a brain, but she couldn't go to college.
Let me ask you this, Tom. What was your dad's occupation, your father's occupation?
Well, when he started out during the war, World War I, he was a machinist, very good machinist. And very good with his hands and tools of all sorts. Lathe work, metal lathe work. And during the first war, he was not drafted because he had skills in the mechanics. Mm-hmm. And they kept him in a ammunition plant that they had in St. Louis. And he worked many hours more than the people worked in the military, I'm sure. But he was working for the government making munitions. And he stayed in that job for the rest of the war. He had a brother that went to France, and he got shot up, but he didn't die.
What was his name?
His name was Frank. In fact, Frank is my godfather. My father had there were three boys and three boys. She only had boys. No, there were four boys in that family, my grandmother's family. And my grandfather, I never did know him. He died real early. My father said he was about 11 years old when his father died. And he became the breadwinner. He remembers his dad working for 5 cents an hour. I'll never forget it. Just amazing the way they lived. They came over from Poland. Mm-hmm. They came over like hundreds of people on ships that were crowded as could be, just to get out of Europe. For some reason, during that time, the oppressions were really bad over there in Europe, and they couldn't get out of Poland fast enough. I later had an opportunity to revisit where my folks, my dad's folks, lived, where they were raised and everything. It's another story, but I had the opportunity about 2 years ago to go to Poland and walk the streets where they lived, and just unbelievable. So I had that opportunity, and I thank the good Lord for that one, boy. But anyhow, they had a rough life when they were growing up. I know my grandmother, my dad's mother, came to the United States to follow her husband, who had come over earlier, because he got a job. Some friend of his who was in the United States got him a job and said, Ignatius, come on over. I got a job for you. And they saved like $15, $20, as little as they could save, to get passage to come over on a boat. I don't know how they did it. I really don't know how they did it. My grandmother claims that the ship was just crowded with people. If it ever sank, they'd be dead after some. But anyhow, they lived through it. When they got to the United States, my dad worked for 5 cents an hour. My grandfather worked for 5 cents an hour. Unbelievable, unbelievable. But it was better than what they had in Poland.
Right.
So
more opportunities here.
That's
too.
right. Yeah, yeah. The opportunities were there, and he never did make a lot of money. No, he just barely existed, really. And then, but my grandmother, she was a seamstress, and she took in work, and she wrote. She had a business of her own, making dresses for people. Yeah, and sewing up pants for men. I mean, she did it all. She did it all. Quite a seamstress. And my grandmother lived till she was 86 years old. I never did see my grandfather because he died early before I was born, and I never had the opportunity.
Okay, now fast forward to you're getting out of high school.
Okay.
Where did you go from there?
Okay, getting out of high school, my dad, as I say, he wanted boys to go to college. And getting out of high school, I was going to go to Missouri University, but it came down to the matter of dollars and cents with him too. So I checked at St. Louis University, which was about 5 miles up the road from where we lived. It was in the midtown part of St. Louis, midtown. We had a campus of about four big theaters for one. Not a real campus at all. Got a couple of Catholic churches right close by. And of course, St. Louis University had a big Catholic church there. And being Catholic to begin with, it made it a lot easier going there. I was on my way around the Catholic church. And I was a server and altar boy and all that stuff. But I went into college right out of high school. And being a gymnast, another friend of mine went to St. Louis U at the same time, who was also a gymnast. Well, due to our gymnastic meets that we had, I had met the gymnastic teacher, the gym teacher, I guess you call him, gym teacher, at St. Louis University. And he said, well, we need cheerleaders. You ever do any cheerleading? I said, no, but another guy that came from Cleveland High School with me, he was a cheerleader. And he said, well, I can teach him. So this same man got us in as cheerleaders. So 3 of us who were gymnasts in Cleveland High School became tumblers and jumpers all over the damn football field. And I had never led a cheer in my life. But anyhow, I did. And I was a cheerleader at St. Louis University for 5 years, 4.5 years before I graduated. And the others, they finished their school too. So they all did well up there. And I worked in a gymnasium as well as being a cheerleader. I worked there. I got all my tuition paid. After the first semester, I had paid tuitions at St. Louis University working in a gymnasium, in the basket room, I think they call it, basket room. And I worked there, and I was slow sometimes, and I'd take my law books over there, or my books over there, and study till 9 o'clock at night, and then go on home. And I had my studying done for the most part. But it was a great opportunity for me, only because I was a gymnast, I knew the teacher, and he had control of the jobs, you might say. Yeah. And he wanted us to be cheerleaders because we could tumble, and tumble up and down the field. Say, right. Oh my God. Well, anyhow, we did it. Put on hand balancing shows as well. Oh yeah, we were good. I must say we were good. We were good, and the people really enjoyed it. And everybody knew me and the cheerleaders. Everybody knew Tom. They did. And it was through that I got to know people. And thank God for that. If I'd been a stick in the mud, I wouldn't have known anybody.
That's right.
But anyhow, it really loosened me up. in meeting people, in dealing with people, and I think that had a lot to do with my further development on later on in years. I did fairly well, and when I went to law school, you could get into law school with 2 years of academics in an undergraduate school. They don't have that now. You got to have a degree to get into law school now. But at that time, 2 years of education was all you needed. College education was all you needed. And that was fine with me. And I don't know how I picked law, because my dad, he didn't encourage me one day a bit, and I know that. But he was happy that I was getting my tuition paid, too. Yes. And I had a place to live, and speaking of that, I'll tell you what, while I was going to college, my sisters both were working, and they had a room. We had a two-family flat, as we call them in St. Louis. We had 4 rooms, a kitchen, which was also our dining room, a small kitchen, all the utensils there. We had a bathroom, one bathroom, with a tub, and my father and mother had a room. The 2 sisters had a room. The 2 girls could sleep together. And where was I? I was in the so-called living room. And we had a couch we used to pull out. Well, at the time I was needing a couch, when we got that house, all they had was a roll-away bed. And I had to take that roll-away bed out of the closet and pull it out every night and take it in that room. And that's where I slept, with a roll-away bed. I was sleeping on that roll-away bed even when I was in college. I'm not kidding you. And again, we were not a wealthy neighborhood to begin with, but it wasn't a poor neighborhood, but it wasn't wealthy by any means. And my dad never thought of even once thinking going by and getting a bigger house. See, I don't know. Tom can sleep out there on that couch. See, he can sleep there on the couch or pull a rollaway bed out. And really, I did it all through college. And anyway, it brought me up the right way, I'll tell you.
It helps develop character, doesn't it?
Oh, you bet. It builds character real fast. And I'll tell you what really got me, my law class, I must have been the poorest guy in the law class. I'm convinced I was. Although some of them had jobs that they were filling, they had a background with their families. Their families were picking up all the other stuff. I mean, they were almost, I'd say they were rich kids, and I know that. But anyhow, I didn't have that, and again, I think it made me a much better man in the end, and I learned to appreciate the dollars you make.
So you were probably, what, a senior at the time of Pearl Harbor occurred?
Oh, when Pearl Harbor came on, I was 41, wasn't I?
Yes.
21. I was still in law school.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my senior year in law school. Yeah, senior year. And that's when the draft board tried to get me. So
you got your draft notice?
Oh, I got my draft notice, and I thought I was going to go.
Well, what happened?
Well, every time they met, my number would come up, and they'd call me, come on down, and I'd plead with them because I was in my last year of law school, see, last year. Well, things got so hot that we combined one full semester in the summer's program. Now, that was a summer I'll never forget. I hitchhiked to school every day. I didn't ride the streetcar. We had big streetcars in those days, or buses. But I hitchhiked every day. I walked about a half a block to the corner where we have a Grand Avenue, Grand Avenue went all the way up north to St. Louis University, right from my house all the way north. I was in the south end of town.
Now, why did you hitchhike? To save money?
Save money. Yeah, I didn't have any money. 13 cents, I think, to get on a streetcar. 13 cents. I didn't even have 13 cents. Yeah. Thank God I had that job at school because, I don't know, I'd find, I hate to tell you what I did. There was a place called, there was a chili joint. I can't think of the name of that place. Oh, I'll never forget it. That's where I ate lunch. 15 cents. 15 cents for lunch is what I had. Chili. I had chili almost every day. Almost every day. I'm not kidding you. And the gang at school, I got them to learn chili too. Some of those wealthy guys, they joined me. We ate chili for 15 cents. Yeah, 15 cents. All the crackers you wanted, all the chili. Really, and that was my meal. Almost every day. Almost every day. Maybe a hot dog thrown in once in a while. Yeah, but oh my God. Anyhow, nobody seemed to give a damn, so I lived that way. I lived, and I worked. In addition to that, certain notes, a friend of mine who was a manager at the municipal auditorium, and he was in control of the shows that came to out of town. And when they came to town, he needed people to stand behind the bar and sell cokes and beer and whatever they had. And I wasn't even 21 when they did it, but I did it. I made drinks and passed them out, collected money for it. And I got $3 a night for that when I did it. $3 a night. I can't believe it. I worked about 4 hours, $3. But that was money that I didn't have before. So.
Right.
And during the show, I could even pull out my book and read a book, whatever I had to school for the next day. So
the draft board's trying to get you, but what happened there? Did they get you, or did you finish law school?
I managed to get out of law school. When I got out of law school, they were after me. They gave me then a reprieve, you might say, and I said, well, I need to take the bar exam. I got to get that out of the way. They didn't want to even let me graduate. There's one guy especially, he didn't want me to graduate. He said, you can always come back to school. You can always come back. I said, hell, I want to do it now. Get it over with. And the bar came up a month later, and I said, let me stay until I can take that bar exam. I take the bar exam, I flunk it, fine. If I pass it, that's even great. Well, most of the bar people agreed with me. So the examining people. But this one guy, boy, he wanted me to go. So they let me go. I finished. I took the bar. And they had some bar courses you could study for. You would pay and spend about $500 just to go to school to learn how the exams are going to be. Well, hell, I didn't have $500, so I took the exam anyhow, and I'll be damned. We had 17 in my class take the bar. And the richest guys in my class from rich parents, 2 of them flunked the damn bar. And there I was. Nobody ever gave me any money to take. I had to rake up the money just to take the bar exam. You got to pay to take the bar exam. Anyhow, word came in, and after I took the bar exam, I said, well, I can't do anything now. I'll be drafted. And sure enough, it wasn't long after that they drafted me. They knew I finished up. I'd taken a bar. That's all I asked for. And lo and behold, I passed the bar. And I made a statement that I've been quoted many times as saying, what's the best thing that ever happened to you at any one given time? I said, the day I picked up the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, I ran out to the corner to pick it up because it had a listing of all the people that passed the bar. They didn't write a letter to you. They put it in the newspaper. See, I'm not kidding. They put it in the newspaper. And somewhere I have that newspaper article. Somewhere I have it. And it showed that I passed the bar. And man, I came home, high heaven, boy. I was ruler of the world. Bring on the draft board. I didn't kill it, but I had passed the bar.
Now, let me ask you this, Tom. During this time, had you taken any examinations for possibly pilot training? Or?
I did. I took some exams while I was in law school. I took some exams for pilot training with the Navy. And they were going to call me one time and send me to somewhere in Illinois. I forgot where in Illinois. Somewhere out of Chicago. There was naval training school up there. But they weren't going to put me in pilot training. They were going to just make me a naval officer. And I wasn't too happy about that. I wanted to fly. So I'd also taken the aviation cadet program with the Army and took the exam for that. And I passed it. I said, well, I'm going to wait to hear from the Army. And I didn't hear from the Army, but I heard from the draft board. And before the Army could call me for flying, the draft board called me for the infantry. And I went to the infantry at Jefferson Barracks, Missouri, I think on the 17th of May, as I remember. 17th of May, 41. I was drafted into the United States Army at Jefferson Barracks as a private. And I mean a private's the lowest thing you can get.
Even with a law degree.
With the, oh, that didn't mean a thing. That didn't mean a thing. That didn't mean a thing. I walked through there and I said, one good guy, he passed me a bunch of shoes. He says, how did you happen to get in here with a law degree? I said, well, ask the draft board. They'll tell you. Oh, my God. Really. I was embarrassed. Why aren't you an OCS? I said, well, you ask them. Ask them. There I was. And that, my first day being drafted. Never forget, Jefferson Barracks. I had worn a size 8.5 shoe all up for many years. And I knew my size shoe, 8.5 D. A, B, C, D. So I walked through there, and the guy looked at me, and he said, 9.5, 10 o'clock, and he threw me a pair of shoes, 9.5, D or E, a bit wider than what I needed. I said, that's not my size. He said, brother, take the darn shoes and get out of here. And I had to take them. There wasn't anybody that could help me. Hell, boy. You talk to a sergeant, a buck sergeant. That's tough, boy. That's tough. I'm not kidding you, boy. I was drafted, got my uniforms. I was ashamed to even wear the damn shoes. They were floppers. They're just flopping all over the place. Yeah, you're laughing, but I'm telling you, it's the God's truth. The God's truth. I got down to Camp Shelby, Mississippi. I'll never forget. We got on a troop train, and that was an experience too. I didn't even tell anybody I was a lawyer. I was ashamed to tell them I was a lawyer. But you know, some of those guys that got on that train, they had about 3rd or 4th grade education. Mm-hmm. They couldn't even write their name. Some of them could not even write their name. They were drafted, though. They were drafted. And we all came down together at Camp Shelby, Mississippi. Company B, 339th Infantry. I'll never forget it. It really made me a man, though. I learned to appreciate how bad things were around the world, around me, right next to me, in the same room with me, the same room. We had a hut that had tents for a long time. And I learned to help people. And because they needed help. One guy couldn't write his name, and I worked with him to write his name. And he finally got around to being able to write his name. But you know, he had to sign the payroll. Right. He could almost just barely sign his name. Speak, well, they couldn't put 10 words together in a sentence. They couldn't put, it's unbelievable. Anyhow, being an educated man at that point, I became flight leader real quick, and then platoon leader. They were giving stripes to guys with not even 8th grade education, giving them stripes. And here I am with a college degree, and they wouldn't give me one stripe. I am like Kenya. I'd complain about that. He said, well, we need those stripes in this shop. I said, right here, we can't give them away. You can't give those stripes away. They belong to us here in this outfit. That was their attitude. And maybe they did. I don't know. I had to listen. anyhow, I transferred off 4 months after I was in the infantry, but I had 4 months of training that I will never forget. Never forget. In fact, President Roosevelt drove by me and I saluted President Roosevelt. I am not kidding. We had to get out there. We watched the parade come by, Camp Shelby, Mississippi. President Roosevelt.
Quite a thrill, wasn't it?
Huh?
Quite a thrill, wasn't it?
Oh, I had never seen the president before. Yeah. In flesh, that's right in front of me, right in front of me. In a big car, big open sedan, you know, and waving to people like he knew what the hell he was doing, see? See, I'll tell you. I'll never forget, just never forget. I said, hey, I'm in trouble. He didn't help me, though. He didn't help me. Oh, my God. But anyhow, that was an experience, though. It was leveling me. It leveled me for the rest of my life. And I'll never forget it. I didn't like it at the time, but you got to look back and see it made me a much better man, I'll tell you. I appreciated around me, people that were around me. I helped more people as a result of that, helping others learn and get together. And I used to sit down with these guys, and they couldn't remember the orders of the day. They couldn't remember it. I got them to learn that damn orders of the day. That's it. Yeah.
This is the end of side one.
I'm just ashamed to talk about it, though. Ashamed to talk about it.
Well, so you're in the infantry now. How did you get out of the infantry?
Well, I told these people at the induction center when they drafted me that I had taken these exams and I was waiting to be called to go into aviation cadet training. They said, well, when that happens, we'll take a look at you and see whether we're going to let you go or not. That was their attitude. So anyhow, 4 months later, they caught up with me and said, we got a letter from the aviation cadet people saying that they want you for training, for flying training. Well, they got to get you out of here first before they tell you. I mean, that was their attitude. I'm here, you try and get out. See, that was their attitude. Really, it was up to me to get out. Well, there was an aviation cadet man on Camp Shelby. I'll never forget. He was up in the headquarters building, I know that. And hell, as a private, you didn't go in the headquarters building for anything. So, anyhow, I went up there and found that guy. And he found my name. He said, well, we'll get you out of here. So in about a week or 10 days, I was on my way to Nashville, Tennessee. Ticket no, Nashville, Tennessee, going to the Aviation Cadet Center in Nashville, Tennessee. I didn't even know there was one in Nashville, Tennessee. I thought it was down in Texas somewhere. Well, I went to Nashville. And then it became a waiting room, a waiting time. I spent about 2.5, 3 months at Nashville, pulling KP, pulling guard duty, doing anything just to keep us out of trouble. And we'd sleep and eat, and that's about it. No classes or anything of any kind. And then one day, after about 3 months, the word came down that they called off a reel of names, and I was one of them. They're all being transferred to what was then the Aviation Cadet Center at Lackland, was now Lackland Air Force Base. And we had barracks buildings up here in Nashville. It was warm. It was warm. We get to Texas. We were in Tent City over there. Tent City, and I mean they had about 6 or 8 of us to a big tent. All we did was eat and play guard duty. Eat and guard duty. Eat and guard duty. Really. And KP. And KP. That was worse than the infantry I had, see? Really. Seemed like every other day we had guard duty or KP. We always had something to do. They kept you busy. And then we had a march in the meantime. And you marched to this, you marched to that. Even marched to church, believe it or not. And All the Catholics got together and we marched to church, the Catholic church. Yeah. Oh, God. Anyhow, I learned to march real good in the infantry, so I knew how to march. That was something else. I was a platoon leader. For some reason, I used to make a 30-inch step. It came naturally, I guess, to me. And that sergeant and my sergeant, I'll never forget. Sergeant, oh my God, I thought I'd never forget his name, but he was a great one. He really took a liking to me because I could walk. He's 30 inches length, 30 inches length. I became the guy lead man with 30 inches, and everybody had to walk that 30-inch step. See? Just happened that way. But he thought I was pretty damn good. I could make that 30-inch step every time, see? And he actually got down and marked the things on the ground, on the street. 30 inches, that's it. And I did. You're it. That's how I got picked as the platoon leader. Oh my God. Anyhow, that 30 inches helped me.
So you're in Lackland now, and you're doing.
I was in Lackland, doing nothing but KP duty and yard duty. And that went on for almost 4 months. And I finally got called to go to, where was that? Up in, right out of Fort Worth. Flying school. It was a civilian flying school. And they had about 100 cadets there learning to fly.
Wasn't Mineral
Wells,
was
gee,
it?
I can't remember the name of the place. I've gone by there many times because I can't remember. It was a flying school, a civilian flying school. They had a bunch of cadets there learning how to fly. And I did pretty well. And I went through primary school there.
Now, what does primary school involve, Tom?
Well, you have to take a lot of classes to begin with, basic classes on what flying's all about. Meteorology, you have to study meteorology, and Morse code. You learn all the basics of flying and what you needed in the air. They had miniature mock-up stuff too, where you could learn to maneuver the pedals down below and the stick that you had to work with. All pre-flying education, you might say. I did pretty well on that. In fact, we were assigned then to a man who could be our instructor, a civilian, and there were 4 of us assigned to this one man. And the man was maybe 30 years old, something like that. He had done a lot of flying on the civilian airports. And I learned to fly pretty well. In fact, I didn't have any problem in primary school at all. I just breezed right through, you might say. All four of us did.
Do you remember what kind of plane you were flying?
A PT, I'll say PT-13. Yeah, PT-13. Yeah, PT-13, yeah. Good airplane. Oh. Mm-hmm. And the lower wing down here. Yeah, right. Yeah, I really liked it. Anyhow, we finished that phase of training. I think it's 3 months in there. We were doing 3 months. And then we were all transferred to Greenville, Mississippi. Oh my God, Greenville, Mississippi. No, Greenville, Texas. Right outside of Dallas. Greenville. Oh boy. I'll never forget that. Coming from the South, I was considered South down here. There was a huge sign, right through the middle of town. Big, on the main street, right across the main street. And the sign read, I'll never forget, it's the God Street, the blackest land and the whitest people. That's what it said, the blackest land and the whitest people. And you never saw so many black people in your life in that town. I'm not kidding you. I couldn't believe it. The blackest land and the whitest people. Well, I went by there many times for many years, and it was still there. Mm-hmm. I went by there about a year ago, I guess, maybe a year and a half ago. That sign is gone. They don't have that sign up anymore. somebody got smart and took that damn thing down, or burned it. But anyhow, in fact, I told my kids, I said, boy, you're going into the land of the blackest people and the blackest land and the whitest people. They said, well, I don't see any black land around here. And the kids were smart too. Unbelievable. Anyhow. So anyhow, that was my experience. Then in basic school, 4 of us had the same teacher and instructor in primary. The same 4 had the same instructor in basic. In basic, you got an airplane that had a variable pitch prop, and that was a problem with me, and not with me only, but a lot of other people. And but this guy had been a civilian instructor somewhere. He came in as a second lieutenant with a commission and teaching us how to fly that PT-13. Not the PT-13, the B, it's V something. Oh, I got pictures of it somewhere. Anyhow, he took me up one day. I guess I had about 7 or 8 hours, and I hadn't soloed yet. And he took me up and said, we're going to solo you today. I said, well, I'd like to. But he says, you got to learn how to fly it. He said, you weren't taught very well. I said, well, the other guys you're teaching and passing them, they learned by the same instructor I had. And it was. All 4 of us had the same guy in primary. This guy got me, and I'm telling you, he was something else. From the time he met us on the flight line, all 4 of us, we had to stand up at attention when to meet him. He said, the second lieutenant come in there, I think he's God. Oh my God. Never forget him. We cussed him. Oh, we cussed him. I'm a Catholic. I cussed him some more. Oh, God. He was something else. Anyhow, I'll make a long story short. He took me up that day, and he put me in a spin. He put me in a spin, see? And I said, get yourself out, get yourself out. I said, well, I know how to get out of spin, but you put me in something. I'm going round, I can't even get out. And there I was going down as he was saying this, see? And we were going straight for the ground, I'm not kidding you. And he kept yelling at me, man. I can still hear him yelling at me. And he yelled so damn much I couldn't concentrate on what the hell I was doing. And finally he grabbed a hold of that stick, and boy, he took it away from me. He said, get your damn hands off there. And I took it off, and he straightened it out somehow. I was so damn scared myself, I thought I was going to die. And he zoomed the thing out and got off the ground, or got it away from the ground. We were headed for the ground. I thought I was going to die. I did. Well, the other guys had the same experience with that. After I was the first one, he stood all 4 of us up the next day. He said, Krauska, you're going to meet the board, and you're going to be out of here before you know it. You better go back to the infantry. So the other guy said, and take a look at the other stuff. Take a look at the other 3 or 4 of us. You look at it, look at yourself. The other 3. A week from now, another one of you is going to be gone. He said, after a week from that, another one's going to be gone. And said, one of you people is going to make the job. You're going to make the grade. 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4. Hell, they needed every damn one of us. They needed to give some time with it. Not for him, boy. I said, I want an audience with the commander. I was a lawyer. I was an audience. I want an audience with the commander. I'm going to let him know what the hell's going on. And I told this guy. And when he told me, when he took that stick away from me that day and we were flying around, he was heading back for the field, he said, we're going to land on the auxiliary field. I said, well, I'd like to talk to you. He said, I don't know, you're not much older than I am. If you're older than me, I'm not sure you were. And I said, who the hell taught you to learn how to fly and teach people? Teach anybody. And I said, you got another thing going, buddy. Now you're going to clean. You're going to wash out everybody except one, and all four of us are good pilots. All four, we're good pilots. But you got to have the right kind of training. And I told him how the hell to train pilots. That really set him on, boy, I'll tell you. At any rate, he came back, we landed. He said, "You're going to meet the board." Well, I didn't meet the board, boy. They sent me straight to the old man. I said, "I want an appointment with the general." He might have been I think he was a general. I said, "I want an appointment with the general." And they gave me an appointment with the general. And I told the general what the hell I thought of this whole damn operation and having a guy like that as an instructor. He's going to kill people out there. He's going to kill people out there. If that's the way to teach pilots to fly, I told him, I said, "You're in the wrong business, General. You're going to kill people. You're not going to kill them. You're going to teach them." And they did kill a few people later on. Anyhow, he went along with the instructor, though, and he says, "Well, too bad. You're going back to the infantry, I guess." Well, I wasn't in the infantry then. I was in the Air Corps. So they shipped me back to Lackland, or the training center back in Lackland again. Well, it wasn't Lackland then, something else. And I got back there, we lived in that same damn tent city, awaiting my transfer to the bombardier school. I was qualified as a bombardier as well. So then I had to wait around for 3 months to get into bombardier school. Unbelievable, unbelievable. But they needed people as bombardiers too, so I waited my turn. Went off to, eventually got to team. In the meantime, I had good time in town. I mean, I did my guard duty during the week, like I did before. Guard duty in KP. Oh man, I was pretty good at KP, peeling potatoes. You had to peel the potatoes in those days. They didn't have any more automatic peelers. You didn't have to peel a damn potato. I did that so many times. Anyhow,
you got your orders for go to bombardier school?
For bombardier school, yeah. But in the meantime, we got into town, and that's where I got to know San Antonio. And I got to know it real well because I was there for another 3 months, see. I spent a total of about 6 months just being able to get downtown on the weekend, and see the town, the river. Hell, I remember the river when there wasn't almost nothing down there. Right. Nothing. That's right, nothing down there. My kids can't believe that I was down in this river a long time before they were born, see. Oh, at any rate, I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy waiting around, though, because the war was going on, and here I am playing around with school and not getting anywhere. My friends and some of my law classmates, man, they went through school just flying colors and didn't have any problems. And me, boy, I had a lot of problems. Maybe it was me, I don't know, whatever it is. Whatever it is, eventually they shipped me out to Midland, Texas for bombardier training. And I graduated in, I want to say September 16th.
Well, when you were going through bombardier school, can you give us a little bit of what you did as far as learning how to be a bombardier?
Oh, yeah. We spent a lot of hours on what they call a bomb trainer. It was on wheels, but you could direct that motion of that trainer. You're up about 8-10 feet high, about 10 feet high, and the bombardier was there. The bombardier site was there. It was the Northern bomb site. Oh yeah, we knew that Northern bomb site inside and out. I mean, it was good. It was good training. It was a good school. But we'd have to sit on top of that trainer and direct it over the target, and they'd have a moving target. They'd have a moving target down there on the ground. There's sort of a little mouse that was running around with a box, and that was your target. And you had to get it into sight and then move the thing around till you drop your bomb. When you got it in there, drop your bomb. And that's how we learned to work the Northern bomb site in the trainer. And then they'd have an instructor that would take you up, and you do the same thing in the air, only you'd be picking up a target, a stationary target somewhere down the road, and you pick it up. And they had a regular bombing range, and eventually they had the targets out there. Some were moving, some were still. and you could, you actually, the pilot would put you on the run, bomb run. He says, "You got it," and then when he did, you turn it over the control of the plane to you with that bomb sight. And with that bomb sight, you're going at a slow speed, so you're going in there, and you're directing that plane right over the target with the knobs that you had. And the knobs that were something like this, you had to work them out.
They controlled the ailerons on the plane?
The whole plane. You had to control the whole plane with that northern bomb sight.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. It's a fantastic instrument. And we learned it well. And I graduated, got my wings, and by that time I had met a young lady in town at a dance. We were there for a month before they let you get off base. 1 month. We were sticking around in damn hot weather in September and in Midland, Texas, I'm telling you, and the wind blowing and the sand blowing, it's unbelievable. The only good part about it, I graduated and I met my wife out there.
What was her name, Tom?
Her name was Marion Kaufman, Coffman, and she was a college graduate from Lubbock, Texas, Texas Tech. And she was a school teacher. She was working at that time in Midland as a secretary to the president of an oil company. She had a big job. And that's how I didn't meet her. I met her at the dance. The first week we were out, we got a dance there, and that was something. At the Scarborough Hotel, I never forget, Scarborough Hotel, where I met her. The cadets walked in there, and boy, there was a bevy of women standing across the aisle, across the dance floor, see? And I said, "Here we are, guys. Let's go." And everybody took off for somebody they saw over on the other side. And 3 or 4 wasn't the same gal that I picked. I don't know, but she came with me and said, "Oh my God." And she had never seen me dance, and I never saw her dance. So yeah, that's how I met her. And following that, she came out on Wednesday. On Wednesday evening, they could come out to the base, and we'd have an ice cream or something, no beer, ice cream, and sit around the barracks and on the outside of the barracks, not in the barracks, and sit in the shade and just talk. Mm-hmm. And she'd come out every Wednesday and Sunday. When I could get off on Sunday, we'd go into town and we'd spend the afternoon in town dancing at the hotel. And that's how we got to know each other. And lo and behold, she did real well. She learned to like me, and I learned to love her, and it was a great relationship. When I left there, I was transferred to combat crew training in Salt Lake City. I remember Salt Lake City. Went from there. In Salt Lake City, they paired up the pilots and the bombardiers and the navigators into crews. And I don't know how they did the pairing up, but somebody did it. And our names were called out. Krauska, you Hodges, and whoever they were. Going to, where the hell was that name? Oh, gee. It was godforsaken place up around, oh my God. Casper, Wyoming. Oh my God. That is
You thought Midland was bad, huh?
Oh my God, yeah, I'm telling you. Casper, Wyoming, and in the wintertime, cold as could be. Snow higher than the sheds that we lived in. I mean, higher than the shed we lived in. It was just stacked up from ground up. They had to take shovels and shovel the way into the house, into the shack. Tar paper shack. I'll never go. Cold. Yeah. Had a little a coal stove. Had a coal stove right in the middle.
Hot belly stove.
And hot belly stove, and that was it. Well, everybody sort of pushed their bed closer to that stove. See, it was cold. Oh, we had this heavy gear too, and that heavy gear, I mean, was heavy. big old sheep line stuff. And very, very too heavy, very too heavy. But anyhow, that's all they had. That's what we wore. We flew with that damn stuff too. It's hard enough just walking around in it, much less flying. Oh my God! But anyhow, we did it. And
now what kind of aircraft were you?
In B-24s.
You were in B-24s.
We were in B-24s then.
Okay.
Yeah, B-24.
That's a Liberator.
Yes, a Liberator. Yeah. And that was the training planes. And I guess we were there 3 months. Just about every place we went to, we were 3 months there and 3 months there, and they determined when you were ready to go. And,
now, did you practice bombing runs when?
Oh yeah.
Did you get your full combat crew at this time, or just the pilot?
We got
the gunners and everything.
Full combat crew here, in Casper, Wyoming.
The gunners and
everything. We
engineer.
And we went out on the gunnery range and we did everything they were supposed to do. And I learned how to shoot a. Thank God I didn't have to shoot those things. They'll tear your joint support. It was something else.
Did you have a gun position on the B-24 that you were supposed to man during combat?
After I dropped the bombs, up until I was dropping bombs, no, I didn't have a position at all. No, I had a guy. Well, the first planes we had, I had a set of guns up in the front.
In the nose.
In the nose. But then later on, we got the newer planes, and they had a turret up there then. Well, this was before the turret.
Right.
And so there was a gunner up there, a gun with me. When I did go into the target, I could use it or shoot it, whatever I had to do. And we practiced with that thing, boy. It shake your damn apart. It tore you apart. I say. So when it didn't tear the airplane apart, but anyhow, we learned how to shoot that way. And then later on, we got the newer airplane, and well, we didn't get the newer airplane until I was about halfway through my missions, but and I didn't have any position at all then. I dropped the bombs and that's it. Get the hell out of there, let's go.
Do you remember the name of your crewmen that were on that B-24 with you? I know it's been a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember the first crew we had. Ben Webb was a young man that who had about 2 years of college, but he had a temper on him that was something else. And I guess I have a temper too, and we sort of clash once in a while. And but Ben and I had a difference of opinion. We were doing some combat. Let's see, our crew stayed together. I'm trying to think. I was flying out of Guam when that happened. The crew stayed together for a long time. We went through combat crew training together. And then we went to California, and we waited around there to get an airplane. And we actually ferried a new airplane over. That was part of the job in going to combat, at least with us it was. We had to take a new airplane over. And we took that airplane over to Hickam Field. I'll never forget, from March Field, I think it was. March.
That's California.
In California. And we got the airplane. We thought it was going to be ours. We landed over there at Hickam Field. And I'd heard of Hickam Field, you know. Can't help but know where Hickam Field is after what the bombs all that.
In Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yeah. Oh, yeah. And when we got there, the people in the headquarters didn't even know we were coming. I'm not kidding. They didn't even know we were coming. They said, "What are you doing here? We didn't ask for new crews to come out here." "Oh, you got radar training." "Oh, that was something else. That was something else." I failed. Oh, that's important too. While we were in Casper, Wyoming, finished our training there, combat crew training. They shipped us to Langley Field, Virginia. From Casper to Langley Field, way on across the town, across the country. We got there, and nobody knew we were coming. I'm not kidding. Nobody knew we were coming. They had at Langley what they call a LAB training, low altitude bombing. So we waited around there, and nobody knew what we were doing, so they put us in this LAB training. Really, they did. And we learned, or I learned, how to low altitude bomb, I'll tell you. And I mean right off the water. We flew on the Atlantic coast, missions out there. And eventually we did searches for airplanes at night at that LAB on the water, because the submarines were coming out at water at night at water. And we searched for submarines, German submarines on the East Coast. We did that for 6 months, I guess, at least 6 months. We saw some at one time. We saw several of them, but they told us not to drop anything, and to radio back, and that they tell us they were more interested in finding out where they were than getting to them. They wanted the Navy to get to them. That's the one thing. And the Navy couldn't find them, but we could find them by radar from the air when they surfaced. When they didn't surface, well, we couldn't see anything below that.
Now, did you have a radar operator on board on your ship?
Yeah. We picked up another man.
On the plane?
We picked up another man. We had 10 men on the plane now, 10 men, including a radar operator. And I could work the radar from the bomb site. Not the bomb site, but there was another unit that we had for radar bombing. And I learned how to radar bomb with that thing. So that was a good assignment, though, in Langley. They treated us like kings over there. We were lieutenants, too, boy, I'll tell you. By that time, I was a king. What difference would being a private and a lieutenant? Boy, second lieutenant, too, boy. Oh, my gosh. So anyhow, make a long story short, we finished up at Langley, and we got orders in to go to California. We didn't know where the hell we were going, but we went to California to pick up a new airplane, and take it overseas. And we got out there, and somebody delivered an airplane to March, I guess it was, might have been March, some airfield out there. No, it wasn't March, it was some other airfield. It was a crew training outfit. And everybody was headed for the Far East. And I had this radar training. We had the radar works on the plane that we got because we were radar trained. That's what we were set up for. So we take off. I remember eventually we take off from California and head for Hawaii. Well, I had never been to Hawaii, and here we come, girls. We were looking for a good time. We get to Hawaii. We got over there to Hickam Field, and we landed. And the people that the flight line, we never saw an airplane like this. What kind of bombardier is this? They didn't have any idea what it was. Didn't have any idea what it was. I said, well, this is low altitude bomber. We fly right off the damn water and put bombs in. We were told at Langley that we were to go to some headquarters, and we would be reassigned to an outfit that was headed for China, and mainly to get Japanese shipping coming out of China going to Japan. And we were to blow up these ships coming out. That's what we were told. Well, hell, the people at Hickam Field, the wheels at Hickam Field, apparently didn't know any damn thing of all it's all about. I'm not kidding. Nobody knew what the hell to do with us. We had this low altitude stuff, and nobody knew anything about it. I'm not kidding. It's the God's truth. Nobody knew how to handle. What are you going to do with this gang? And there were about 6 or 8 crews like that. We're trained the same way. All of it. We all went together. But I said, in the meantime, we're going to put you out here at Kahuka Air Base. And have you been to Hawaii?
Yes, sir.
Well, you know where Kahuka is. Okay. They put us out to Kahuka. There was a flying outfit out there. That is, you'll be out there flying. You'll have time off to come into town and all that. Just grab on a bus and come on into town, see Hawaii. And so we did. We joined the squadron up there. And again, nobody knew we were coming. But anyhow, we fitted in the picture, and what are we going to do with all this radar we got on this place? I said, well, we know how to use it. You know how to train people with it? Well, the radar man for that outfit up there, I've forgotten the name of the outfit now. He became a great friend of mine because I helped him and he helped me. He was the radar man for that unit, that squadron, the wing. For that wing, it was up there. And he says, "You three guys think you could teach people how to do this stuff?" I said, "Sure. We learned how to do it the same way." He said, "Well, we got some more of this stuff coming in. We don't know why it's coming in, but we're going to put it on airplanes, and you guys can train somebody else to do this kind of radar training, radar bombing." So we did. We did radar bombing training for 4 months, training crews to use this equipment.
You trained other bombardiers that had regular training.
Yeah, regular training, but not radar training.
Right.
But most of it was low bombing, low altitude.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, that's what we did. We trained other crews how to use the radar bombardier. That was something else, really something. Oh, God.
Did you enjoy training these guys?
Oh, yeah. And they really enjoyed it, too. Can you imagine flying off the water and picking up targets? And it's exciting. It's exciting. And the young people, boy, that's the way they wanted to fly. That's the way they wanted to fly. We also learned how to use it at higher altitude, too. Not you couldn't do it much at higher altitude, but you could use it. In a way, you could use it. Mm-hmm. But you really knew you had to know what you were doing if you're going up. But if you went up above 5,000 feet, you didn't know. You had to use it. You got to use something else. It wasn't getting much good after 5,000 feet. So anyhow, we trained the crews, and we brought those crews. We were then shipped. I forgot the day. Oh, I'd have to think twice about the day it was, what time it was. We were told we were going to Guam.
Now, were you at this point in time? Were you were you assigned to any particular squadron and bomb group or anything, or did that happen when you got to Guam?
I don't remember what it was. 11th bomb group. 11th bomb group. I was in the 42nd bomb squadron. 42nd bomb squadron. And Jesse Stay was the commander. He was a captain. Jesse Stay. Just a tremendous guy. And eventually, I can't remember the dates now, but eventually we heard about the invasion of Guam, and the Marines went in there, and the engineers went in there. We were told that they have no airstrips there, but by the time we got there, there would be an airstrip to land. We didn't know what kind of airstrip it was, but we knew they were doing an airstrip there somewhere where we could land. So we left Kahuka, and in the meantime, they transferred us to the western part of the island of Hawaii, of Oahu. Oh, gee. At the northwest end of the island, there was another strip. It was a fighter strip, but they were looking for places to keep this unit together. It was spread out, and then they put them all together at not Kahuka. It was on the northwest end of the island of Oahu. There was a fighter strip there, as well as a longer strip that we could use. Anyhow, we lived in tar paper shacks up there on top of the hills. I mean, unbelievable. Almost primitive. That's where we lived. And but we had pretty much the way of the land, and we'd fly our missions and train other people. And at least every third day or fourth day, we'd have a day off and go to Hawaii. We'd hitchhike to Hawaii. And somebody always picked you up. You're in uniform. Somebody always picked us up going into Hawaii, going into Oahu. Oh, gee. And really, as far as that goes, it was a great tour over there. I enjoyed it. I really did. Got to know the island real well. Bombed the hell out of all the other islands, and there was something else. Low altitude bombing, high altitude bombing. It did it all.
Now, during any of this training you had regarding the use of radar, Tom, did you ever have any casualties of any of your flight crews crashing or anything like that you
We
recall?
lost some crews, and when we got over to combat, yeah, we did. Yeah, I'll tell you about
in
that.
training.
Yeah.
That you don't recall any in training then?
Not in training, no. We had some good pilots in training, we did. And luckily, even though we had a bunch of wrecks to fly in, but at least we thought they were wrecks, they stayed together. It's amazing, we were just lucky, so I'll tell you, we were lucky. We had some people killed, but the airplane something happened to the airplane and they went down. We didn't lose many crews, though. We didn't lose them. We had, the B-24 was a sturdy airplane, really. Mm-hmm. It looked like hell, but it was sturdy. You wouldn't think the thing would fly. You wouldn't think it would fly. Look at that. You wouldn't think that was going to fly.
What Tom's looking at is a model that he has in his home here of a B-24 that's a replica of the plane that he flew while he was over in Guam. So you got to Guam, and what transpired there?
We got to Guam, and we thought it was the strip there. Well, we didn't see any strip. We flew over that part of the island. It was sort of if you're familiar with Agana Bay, yeah, the big bay coming in there, and the airstrip was sort of what I would call to the north and east of Agana Bay, and that's where we had to come in and land. We'd go over Agana Bay every time and we'd come back this way to land. And when we landed, I looked out the back end of the front end of the airplane. I said, where in the hell's the strip? You know what the strip was? They had metal pieces. I'd say the metal pieces were about 2.5, 3 foot long. And they had clamps, and they would clamp these, they were about that wide. And they clamped these things together and put them on top of what they thought was sturdy ground.
It's Marsden matting, right?
What's that?
Marsden matting is what they called that.
Oh, some kind of matting. I don't know what kind of matting. I know that when we got there, we landed on the strip. And I said, what the hell kind of strip is this? We couldn't believe it. We'd never seen one like that. Never seen one. So anyhow, we finally landed there, and that strip was there for the whole time we were on Guam. The whole time I was there on Guam. That was our strip. It was our strip. That's where they kept the airplanes in little coves that they cut off in the where it had the bays that they cut around and put the airplanes in there and had some protection for the airplanes if the attack came in there. But anyhow, so we had our own airplane. We took care of it and kept it going.
Do you remember the number of your airplane at that time?
Did we have the number?
The serial number?
Well, I was in the 42nd Bomb Squadron. We had 4 flights of 4s, I remember. 4 flights of 4.
Did you have was there a name of the plane? Did your crew name your plane?
Well, I was on 3 different crews.
Oh.
3 different crews. Depends on how they collected their missions that they flew. So when one guy was killed, and I had to replace another guy. He was killed, and I became the bombardier on that school. I was the number 2 bombardier for the whole outfit, though, and I had to try and fill spaces, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, and some guys never did really adjust to the bombs, to the Bombay, the loading them so the Bombay. And I'll tell you more about the mines that we did later on. But I flew 40 missions in that B-24. I guess I had three different airplanes during that time, though. I flew 40 missions. And in that time, I had 4 different pilots.
Can you remember the name of the best pilot you flew with?
The best one? Oh, yeah, well, a guy by the name of Phil Crow, Kroh.
Where was he from?
He was from Illinois, Southern Illinois. He was a hell of a pilot, boy. He'd get in that B-24 and fly it like a damn fighter. I mean, he'd rack that thing around. It was unbelievable. And he'd go up every once in a while by himself and another guy, another pilot. And he would come over and zoom all over the damn island. Really put on a show. He was the best pilot I ever flew with. I'll tell you, he was good. Well, he was good. He flew by the seat of his pants, too.
But the whole crew had a lot of confidence in his abilities.
Oh, yeah, you bet, yeah. And I flew with him, I guess 2/3 of my missions I flew with him, yeah. He was good. He was really good. I flew about 5 missions with one guy that didn't follow the navigator's instructions, and I got pissed off at him, and we asked to get off his crew. And I knew the guy in primary school over here at Lackland. I knew the pilot real well, but he was something else. He thought he was also the navigator too. He wasn't the navigator. I know that. We got lost out of a storm one night. Oh God! And when that guy caused us to drop bombs on what we thought was a target on radar. And the navigator had taken a fix. Oh, he didn't have a fix. They had the radar man working, and he said, the target's straight ahead. I couldn't believe it. We didn't go far enough to put the target ahead. At least that was my opinion. Anyhow, the pilot said, well, let's get the hell out of here and get those damn bombs out. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Yeah. And he did. So to get out of here. Anyhow, we climbed up to altitude later on after the bombs were dropped. We could see down below. This happened about the time they were trying to invade Iwo Jima. This was south of Iwo Jima. The targets we were after were north of Iwo Jima. And when we figured out where the hell we were, the navigator said, well, we wouldn't have dropped those bombs on our target. We're far from our target. We're far from the target. If we had been in this rain and been in this storm that we had, it must have been a typhoon or something close to it, because I remember we were at 20,000 feet and we dropped like that, just like that, just dropped, zoom. We were at 5,000 feet when we settled down, 5,000 feet.
15,000 foot drop.
That's right, just zoom, just like that. Just like a vacuum, under a vacuum. I couldn't believe it. The pilot couldn't believe it. Well, I said, let's get up and get out of here and get up to altitude again and stay up in altitude. And we got up there. We got a clear sky way on top. The navigator took a fix with stars. The best fix he ever took in his life. Just the smallest triangle he ever saw. We were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Oh my God. The mines were dropping in what was then the path of the invasion force going from Guam north to Iwo Jima. We were south of Iwo Jima when those things were falling.
In the path of our own invasion fleet.
In path of our own invasion fleet. Man, we got to tell we got to tell them about this one. We may be in the court martial here, dropping bombs in the wrong place. Well, I don't know. We just lucked out. We told the damn truth when we got home and got back to Guam. We told them the truth what happened. And boy, they put out the word real quick. And we had the fix, though. We knew the fix was. The navigator had a good fix. They got the word to the navigator people in the crusade going up there. combat crew. And they avoided it. Nothing ever happened, thank God. But could have been disastrous. It could have been disastrous. Yeah. They could have court-martialed us, I tell you. But really, I didn't have anything to do with it, because the navigator made the fix, and he's the one that filed up, really. Oh, boy, it was something else.
Now, when you were flying out of Guam, Tom, were all your missions involving the laying of mines, or did you do some bombing also?
Did some radar bombing and other
Well,
bombing?
you laid mines?
Yeah.
Did you also do some bombing with bombs?
Oh, yeah, we did a lot of that. When I laid mines, I'll tell you about that. We only had about 10 missions with mines, and that was a separate project that we went on. But I flew about 30 missions regular. I had 40 altogether. So I flew at least 30 regular missions, some low altitude, some high altitude. And yeah, I flew 25,000 feet dropping mines, dropping bombs. Yeah.
Now, what was, describe for me, if you will, a typical mission that you had, one that you can really remember in particular, all the details, if you can, of a particular bombing mission.
I remember all the details on 2 or 3 of them. The first one that I really remember was we were flying at high altitude. Trying to think of the name of that island. It's Chichijima. Chichijima? Iwo Jima? I don't know what. Oh, Iwo. It was when we first started bombing Iwo. And we were some of the first that started bombing Iwo at high altitude. They had anti-aircraft guns. It's something unbelievable. They had radar. Flashlight radar. They'd pick you up. They'd wait till you get close to the island and zoom. And there you were, right in the middle of the radar, right in the middle of the flashlight of the
searchlight.
Searchlight. They had great searchlights on Iwo. Unbelievable. We radioed back. We got to get something to get that damn radar, get the flashlights out of there, get them out of there. Because you can't even see what the hell you're doing when that hits you.
Oh yeah.
So anyhow, I remember those real well. We had several like that where the radar would just hit you. The flashlights, or the radar, the bomb sight.
The searchlights.
Searchlights
Yeah.
would just hit you. And there were a number like that. Not many of them, but a number like that.
Now, would you have any fighter?
We had no fighter protection at all. We didn't have any fighters up there to protect us. Really, we didn't.
Did you have any Japanese fighter planes?
No.
It was strictly any aircraft fire.
They had been pretty much in there, and we ripped up all the airfields with the bombs that we were dropping.
Mm-hmm.
Every day they'd come back and fill in the damn holes, and then we'd come back and blow them up again. It was a daily affair. We'd take pictures, take it back to the squadron, and have them reproduced. We would hit that out the same part yesterday. And then they keep filling them up. But anyhow, they wanted to get to the shipping coming out of Hahajima and Iwo Jima. Now, going to Iwo Jima. Iwo Jima did not have any ports at all. Mm-hmm. Little drive-ins where a motorboat could go in, but that's about all. And I'm trying to think of the island. Hahajima and Iwo Jima. The one that we laid the mines in, big harbor. Oh, I'll think of it. I can't remember. Oh, I'll never forget it for just the rest of my life. I tell you, this is where we laid the mines in the harbors of that. It's the one just north of them. There was a small fighter strip on that island too, and we bombed the hell out of that fighter strip. They couldn't keep a fighter on that damn. They couldn't keep it. We really bombed them up. But it was the main port for receiving goods from Japan And then from Japan in this island, they would ship the stuff down to Iwo Jima. And it was about 200 miles down to Iwo Jima from this island up there. And anyhow, we got the job. We did a Navy's job. Thing we learned at Langley Air Force Base. We finally got around to letting us use this equipment to lay mines. And I never heard of it. I never saw a 2,000-pound mine in my life, but I saw them, I tell you. And I helped crank them up into the bomb bay. It was a specially built bomb bay for a B-24. We had our B-24 cut up a little bit where they could put the big thing, put them in there. And
how many would you carry on any particular flight?
At one point we carried 4, but that was a big load. It was a big load. And then they got around just putting 2 in, one on each side. But they had to have special building for that too, because it was so big. It was huge.
What did they look like, Tom? Can you kind of describe what a...
Well, I'll tell you.
Were they about 6 foot long, or...?
They were longer than... They were a little bit longer from that wall to this one window over here. A little bit longer than that.
About 12 foot long.
They were huge. They were huge things. I'm big. I couldn't put my arms around them. I couldn't put my arms around them.
So it was more than probably 48 inches in diameter.
No, it wasn't 48 inches in diameter. It was. Well,
that's about 48 inches.
Maybe in diameter it could be. They were big. Oh, they were big. We had to have a special crank to crank them up. Boy, that was something. We had to take turns cranking them up, but we did get them up. And
now, did these mines float on the surface, or did
no?
They're
real heavy. 2,000-pound mines went straight to the bottom. And the idea of the mines, from what they told us, what we were carrying, these mines would go down to the bottom, and as ships passed over them, they would blow up. That's what they claimed. We were told then, when I left over there, we had been credited with 17 ships that had been sunk with those mines. On the other hand, after the war, I had a classmate of mine from law school who was a lieutenant commander on a small ship that went into the same island and walked into the island, and they got there, and the beach had a bunch of these big mines still on the beach, without exploding. Didn't explode. They apparently didn't. Nobody went over them. But
they washed up on shore.
They must have floated, or the tide was just so great it just washed them up. Not all of them. But we were credited with 17 ships. So I don't know how the hell they did that, but that's what we were told. And we got the DFs. We got shot up to hell over there on one time.
Tell me a little bit about that one mission you had.
Oh boy, that one mission was something else.
Were you at low altitude when you went in and got shot at?
Low altitude, really low. We were right off the water.
Right off the water. What was
50
that?
100 feet off the water.
Okay.
50 to 100 feet. The water used to splash up in the canals in the front there. Oh my God.
You were right in the nose too.
Right in the nose. Oh, right in the nose. And then, as you approached the island, I could see where the center was. I could see, you didn't see anything beneath the water. So you didn't know, all you saw was water. Mm-hmm. And we learned this in Langley when I was over there. We saw the water, so we knew we were headed in there. And I would really guide the ship right on in over the harbor there, right over the harbor. And I would drop the mines in that damn harbor. And the water splashing up off the bottom there, hitting the plane. It's unbelievable. It's amazing what the hell you can do when you think you got to do it. And I flew some real rough missions up there, and one of them especially on a low altitude like that. We had a B-24 like this, not this one. A B-24 that had a hole in the wing, in the right wing. This wing out here had a hole out here, and of course the tanks are in there, the gas tanks are in there.
Right.
Had a hole in there that was about like that.
But you're about
Woo!
2.5 feet
said
diameter.
They said a 20-millimeter gun went through there. A shell went through there. That's what they said. Well, we not only had that one go through. We had one come back here and knock off part of the tail and knock off part of this right on through here. Right on through here. Now, it didn't hit this one. It went through here. Went through here.
Right. What you're
Right
showing me
through
is right through the fuselage near the tail.
Fuselage and the tail up here.
Uh-huh.
And it still flew. It still flew. I couldn't believe it. They counted 50 shots, 50 holes in our plane. 50 holes.
Did they happen to take a picture of it?
They did, but I didn't get one. I don't know. I wanted one, but they didn't give me one. We counted them, though. We counted them.
50 holes.
A reporter came by. They have reporters out there, too. You think they were, oh, my God. Anyhow, so it teed me off. But they wanted to talk to these people who came back alive. And you imagine there were 10 of us in that airplane, and not one of us had another shot go through on anyone. No one got hit. No one got hit.
None was hit or injured by
and
a
they
fly.
counted 50 holes in this opening, plus these two big things. Unbelievable.
That was a rough mission.
It was rough. The roughest one in the whole squadron. And you might know it, we had it. No, we did. We had some other people get some shots, but nothing like big like we did.
Mm-hmm.
The plane was a wreck. It was junked. They couldn't repair it. They took the engines off, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was still laying on the side. People saw it as they came in, all shot up. And we were it. And everybody walked away from that airplane. God must have been with us out there.
Undoubtedly.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. And I think I was the only. There was one other Catholic. An airman was a Catholic. Sergeant and myself were the only Catholics on that plane. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's how I got into this thing later on. But that was quite a day when we had that happen. And, we were just lucky to get there. I don't know how we did. I really don't know. We must have lost a lot of gas. We had one of the struts, holding the tire underneath the wing. The tires came down from about here.
Right.
Right down there. It was almost shot off at one, but it was just hanging out there. And when we landed, this thing drugged here. The other one had what was partially shot up wheel, partially. It went flat too. But this one dragged as we landed, and I was in the back where you could see what the hell was happening. And that one was dragging, and it dragged us off the tarmac, dragged us off to that side, the right side there, and brought us around this way. And we were headed right for a Marine encampment right off the tarp. Oh my God. Hey, everybody was scared to death. We know it. And it could have, the sparks that were coming up, and it's a wonder it didn't blow up. Mm-hmm. It's a wonder. Nobody could figure out why it didn't blow up. Well, gasoline all over the place, just coming along. And if it had been a concrete thing, it might have sparked. But we were lucky. Some were lucky. And the whole crew came out with not one hurt.
Now, you said this particular bomber, B-24, was scrapped. Did they assign your whole crew to another plane, or did they split you up?
They mixed us up, put us on different crews. Yeah. We were lucky in our squadron. We only had a few planes that were shot up. Only had a few. We lost one crew. We lost two crews along the way. Crews that I knew. And then we got some new crews in who didn't know anything about radar. They just got shot up by anti-aircraft. I think my squadron, while I was with the squadron, I know we lost three ships.
Ship meaning aircraft.
Yeah, aircraft, yeah. And they never did come back, never did come back. Good friends of mine, good friends of mine.
Well, after you had this rough mission and they assigned you to another aircraft, when you were getting ready to go on yet another mission, did you think about what you'd just been through, or do you just kind of pass it off?
You can't help but think about it. You just can't help but think about it.
But you don't worry about it.
You don't worry about it. You know, you just got another job to do. That's what it amounts to. Luckily, I guess I was a little older than some of the people. My crewmen, they were 17, 18-year-old kids. Just unbelievable.
Well, while you were in the Air Force, Tom, is there any particular thing that you remember in particular that was what you'd call humorous? Any humorous incidents that almost everybody has a funny story that they recall?
Well, we had a few jokesters in our outfit that were always joking around, and they really made because of them it was a lot easier for us, I think. They came back and we had a few beers, and I'll say this, we had a gang down there that really worked together. I guess we were at Guam. We lived in a tent area, and I got to find those pictures because I had pictures of the tent area and everything. And I built myself a pair of parallel bars, low parallel bars, and I had pictures of it. And I can't find the damn thing down there. I know I got them. I know I didn't burn them or anything. But they're around somewhere. And you can have them when you find them, and I'll give them to them. But I have no use for them. I only have one grandchild that may be interested in this stuff. Maybe. He's the only one. My kids don't care. And of course, a couple of those went through enough as it is, and they don't want to remember it. So I got one boy that shot up in Vietnam too, and he was in bad shape. But he doesn't even talk about it. And
it'd probably take a few years.
Oh yeah.
Like it did people your generation.
Yeah. He may get around to talking, but he never has talked to me about it. Never talked to him. But he lost some buddies over there, really close buddies.
Now you were flying off of Guam. You said you flew 40 missions off of Guam?
Yeah, 40 missions.
Yeah.
Actually flew 41. But we didn't get credit for that one that we dropped the mines in the water. We didn't get credit for
wrong
that
area. Yeah, you didn't get.
We'd have been court-martialed if we had to. If that thing had hit somebody, we'd have been court-martialed. Oh, God, but anyhow, no, we did 40 missions, and every one was a good mission. We were just lucky. We only got shot up once, so that was enough. That'll make you thinkable, make you a believer.
Like they say, you get religion fast.
Oh, you damn right, boy. You damn right.
Now, this model you have right here, for the benefit of the reader here, Tom has a model of a B-24, and the name of it there...
it's Wild Ass Ride.
Wild Ass Ride, and it has a picture of a scantily dressed lady riding a bull. And was this the serial number of the plane right here? Was this the actual serial number you call?
Well, that's the serial number on this plane.
It's 210-9945.
615 was the number of the plane in the squadron.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a fine model.
Well, my son was in the Navy. He ran into a guy, a Japanese, out in the Philippines, and he saw one of these made up. So he asked me to send him the information I needed, or he needed, and he had this one made up, and he had a picture of this that I had sent him, and they used that picture to repaint this thing. But we printed that on it. Yeah.
Now, was that the last plane that you flew off of Guam?
Yeah, that was the last plane.
What was your pilot's name on this particular aircraft?
Well,
do you recall?
The fellow died later after he got home. He set up a flying school and he died, and some kid froze at the controls and took him in. That was Phil Crow that had that.
Oh,
Phil
the guy from-
he was a pilot for this one.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Best
flew,
pilot you ever flew with?
yeah, we flew about 20 missions with him, I guess, at least 20. I flew with about 6 different pilots, and all of them were good pilots, no question. Good formation flyers. They could put an airplane right up like this. It's unbelievable.
Now, speaking of formations, when you would go out on a mission flying off of Guam, say over Iwo Jima, or landing, dropping some mines, how many planes were usually in your flight when you took off?
Just one.
Just the individual mission.
One at a time. We're all headed for maybe the same area, different times.
So actually, you
and
wouldn't come in over in the
maybe that's where they made a mistake, because about every 15, 20 minutes, a plane would be coming in. See, they were ready for us. They were ready for us, instead of spacing them out better. See.
Yeah, they'd have your altitude and
that's right,
your speed and everything.
Oh, unbelievable. But on some of these, we did sort of radar bombing like this. We go in on an angle and then drop that way. We didn't use, we used the radar just to go in, because we knew how low we were going to get. But then, there were the mountains right ahead of us as we went through the harbor. The big mountain on the other side. We had to cut out there like this and get out of there.
They really had to pour on the gas.
Oh yeah, you betcha on. You betcha on.
Well, you flew these missions. Were they all off of Guam? Is that where you?
All of them were off. Well, we were stationed on Guam, but we had to go to the Navy on Saipan to get the mines. And then we flew off of Saipan with those mines. And those mines were so heavy, it's unbelievable. There was a runway at Saipan, I forgot what, they had a number. It must have been west to east, west, get my direction. Well, I've forgotten them now, but anyhow, there was one runway where you get way in the back, and you rev up as much fast as you could go, and then give it again, please, and hope you get off down there. Well, at the end, there was a big drop-off, like that. Big drop-off, just like that. And
flew off a cliff, in other words.
Flew off a cliff, and you go down like this, and first you're headed for the water, and then you pick up the speed and get the hell out of there. Oh, it's scary. It's really scary. But nobody went in the water. They all had the same experience. So you couldn't get enough speed going down. And then the weight of the plane was something else. It's amazing. And why the Navy didn't do that? Well, they had B-24s out there in the Navy.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't use their own Navy planes. They didn't, though. We got the job. The Air Force got the job.
Now, were you still at Guam when the war was over with, surrender?
Oh, I left before that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I left. Let me see. Again, I got all this in the damn thing.
Were you rotated because of points that you had?
Yeah.
You had enough points.
I flew my 40 missions. See, when I went over there, 25 missions was enough to get you back to the States.
Right.
25. And while I was over there, it went to 30, and then to 35, and then to 40. And I went through all the cycle. I hit the top of the cycle. In fact, our whole squadron hit the top of the cycle. And we seemed like we were flying all the time. But, it all came out all right, though. We only lost 3 crews, and I remember 3 crews. But that's enough.
So you rotated, did you rotate back to the States at that time?
At that time, I came back, and I had so damn many points. They said, well, you don't want to do any more flying, do you? I said, no, not if I can get away. He said, well, we're going to put you in a desk job of some kind then, being a lawyer. He said, we're going to send you to a school. This is people in California. And I don't know where these guys get this magic stuff. But we're going to send you to a school in New York City. And being a lawyer, you won't have any problem with that school. It's a school that we are getting to the point now where people are going to be getting out of the service, and the war is almost over. And we're going to have to counsel and guide people who are not graduates like you to lead them the right way and go back to school or get their feet on again, because they're going to have a hard time getting a job for one thing. The jobs are going to be scarce. Everybody's coming back to snap at the same time, and they said we're concerned. I said, well, I'd be concerned too, but I'm going to be concerned too. I need a job too when I get back. So anyhow, that's what they had me in, and they sent me up to New York City, put me up in a hotel on VJ Day. And I checked into that hotel on VJ Day, and I'm telling you, New York City, it was just crazy that night. Crazy. And there I was. I was in San Francisco the day before, and they got the word that it was going to happen. And it went crazy out there even before that. See? So I saw it out there. I didn't think I was going to be able to get off the airport, but I did. Headed for New York. And then in those days, there was a puddle jumper. You know,
Right.
small planes, you know.
C-45.
Right. Oh, boy. It took about 6 hops to get you to New York.
Yeah.
So anyhow, get to New York. Luckily, I got a taxi cab and went straight to the hotel. And by nightfall, New York City was crazy. I mean, crazy. I'd never been to New York City. So hell, I didn't know where the hell I was. But I saw it, and my wife, who was she was a high schooler at that time, I think, when that happened, in high school. She remembers it well. And but I'll make a long story short. My mother got real sick, and she was dying. And I got emergency leave to go back to St. Louis. When I got back to St. Louis, again, I had to fly with one of these. They had, like, the name of the airplane, but they had square puddle jumpers that went for 2 hours and 3 hours, and then landed, and they get another up. And you jump from here to there and go into home. See?
Right.
I got to St. Louis, and my mother was in real bad shape. And they told me she was going to die. It's just a question of when. She had brain cancer. And, she had brain cancer of the liver as well, cancer of the colon. She had cancer all over. Just in bad shape. And no one wasn't any hope in those days. So while I was home, a guy friend of mine that went to grade school with, he was a star pitcher in grade school. He was one step ahead of me. And he stayed in Jefferson Barracks the whole cotton picking war. He was then a chief master. He was a master sergeant. I think that was the high you could go there, a master.
Right.
He was a master sergeant down there. Like he was running the whole damn show. And I said, no, he was playing ball. He played ball. He was a star pitcher on Notre Dame, and that's how he got the job down there. They wanted him to play on the baseball team. A pitcher. He pitched the whole damn war right down there. I'm not kidding you. Marvel Hunthausen's his name, by God.
What was it?
Marvel Hunthausen. I knew him well. And he helped me. He was in where they discharge people were. He was in the discharge office there somewhere.
Processing office.
And I didn't know where the hell he was, but I found him down there. And I told him all the points I had. I had more points than you could shake a stick out with all the awards I had. The mission I flew. And I didn't realize for a DFC, you get this, the LMOs, you get this, and this. And, you know, I got 140 points or something like that. Or it was around that. Whatever. I went to him, told him my problem. My mother's dying. They want to send me back to that school back in New York, and I'm telling him when the hell I get out of the service. He said, "We'll get you out of the service right here. You got enough points to get out. You don't have to go back to that school." So they did. They canceled the orders and put me down in Jefferson Barracks, and I was discharged in Jefferson Barracks, Missouri.
What was your rank at this time, Tom?
Second lieutenant. No, I'm the first lieutenant. First lieutenant.